If you were mayor, how would you help kids stay off drugs?
Hi, my name is Marcel. If I were mayor of Milwaukee,
I would help kids stay off of drugs by
talking to them and telling them that you can get sick, you can die, and they hurt your brain.
I tell kids that there are lots of better things to do besides take drugs.
Playing basketball or baseball or football,
Movies, play Nintendo,
talk on the phone with your friends,
do TV commercials.
If I were mayor of Wisconsin,
what?
Milwaukee,
I'd have a TV show.
TV show with kids.
talking to other kids.
kids would learn from other kids.
kids understand kids.
I tell kids to hang tough against drugs.
Tough against drugs.
Hang tough. 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 Tough.
Tough. Are you tough enough?
A TV show with kids. Why didn't I think of that?
Drugs are a very big problem. We've been trying and trying to solve them.
But it's hard and it's gonna get harder. We need to use our brains this morning.
So that we can end the situation. Then we can give all the cops a vacation. It's simple and plain.
I know your heart's enough.
Say no to drugs and walk hands up.
Hands up! Hands up! Oh, hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Oh, hands up!
It's about kids for kids.
And it's black kids.
We want to join together because we want to make a difference.
We're telling you to hang tough against our drugs, man, and other stuff. Hang tough against drugs. Be the best you can be.
Watch, listen, learn, and join the party. We have to work together. Yes, you and me. Starting right now. Hang tough, Milwaukee. Hang tough.
Hang tough. Oh, hang tough. Hang tough. Hang tough. Oh, hang tough. Hang tough.
Hi, I'm Lamar.
I'm Renessa.
And I'm Melanie. This is Hang Tough Milwaukee, a TV show about kids, for kids, and by kids.
We're here to talk about the drug problem that affects kids everywhere.
We're gonna put our ideas together to answer some tough questions about drugs. We're also gonna meet some kids who have some important things to tell us about their experiences with drugs.
And we're gonna do some fun things on the show too.
A drug problem can really start when a person decides to try drugs for the first time. So first we're gonna talk about why people ever try drugs to begin with. Why do some people try drugs and alcohol?
Everybody's talking about these drugs. What can they do to your life? So they'll just try it once to see what it is.
If the cool people in the school use drugs, then other people will think it's cool and they'll want to try it too.
They want a reputation. They don't care if it's good or bad.
That's why they do it, for more attention and prove themselves.
They may be depressed or lonely or can't stand life, or that's why some people take drugs.
Maybe it's because their parents use drugs and they want to be just like their parents.
When you're really sick or you're really cold, they'll take like alcohol. They think it warms you up.
Some people feel real grown up when they take drugs.
They keep on saying, well, if you don't start doing it, then we won't be your friends anymore, and you would want to keep those friends.
Like, say, if you was doing drugs, you would be mad because I ain't doing it, so you would try to get me to do drugs.
Because they think it's cool, right?
They think they're cool.
To impress their friends.
Because they're dared to by their peers.
Problems in their family.
Well, they think drugs will help them solve the problem.
They get pressured. There's pressure all around you.
They might just want to not face reality. Now we're going to meet a kid who actually tried drugs and had some problems. Her name is David, and she lives at a place called Kettle House. She also goes to school at a Milwaukee Middle School. David is 14 years old.
When I was about 10 years old, I was having a lot of problems going through a kind of a power struggle between my parents of who was going to get me. So I went and lived with my dad because he kind of, well, I'll buy you this and, I'll buy you the whole world if you come and live with me. And I guess that was the hardest part of saying, bye to my mom for now. And about a year after living with my dad, things started going downhill, and I started going out to friends' houses and coming home late. And the first few times that I came home late, I got grounded for a month. And I started rebelling a lot against my dad because he was grounding me for that long. And I started sneaking out, and one thing led to another, and I started using. And at first it was, just, to be with my friends, and I wasn't really pressured into it because, they told me that I didn't have to. but I guess I chose to. You know, at first you want to try it and see how it makes you feel and what it really does to you, and that's what I did, and I like doing it because it actually made your problems go away for that moment, and you could forget about them then, and you know, you could feel like you're having fun, but then at the same time you're just, you know, you think you're having fun, but you're not really. You're really depressed, and then it'll bring you up a little farther, but then when you get done, it goes right back down another notch. Well, when I was about 11, I had been put in my first rehab. I stayed at treatment for 28 days, and I kind of bluffed my whole way through because, you know, I felt, you know, I'm 11 years old. How can I, you know, be an addict or an alcoholic, you know, by now? And so when I got out, I started using a lot more, and I was introduced to pot and LSD and a lot of other stuff. That really made me go down a lot because then I started stealing cars and you know, anything that I could get my hands on and beating up people, and I mean, that wasn't the real me, and I knew it was like Jekyll and Hyde, you know, where you turn into one person and then you come back after you're done using. At that time, I was kind of, you know, my whole life had just turned around and went backwards. And I mean, I didn't even dress the same. I wasn't me. And I had a real bad attitude towards everything, and I was a little rebellious kid, and I just didn't understand, you know, why it had to be me. So I went to Kettle Hospital, and there they told me, you know, I would go home for after, you know, I served my time there. And you know, at that time I knew that I'd have to be truthful because I could kind of feel the people seeing right through me if I was gonna lie about something. The last time that I had used was 7 months ago, and how I feel now is I don't really feel like, you know, I'm on top of the world, because that's it's just crazy. I feel now that, you know, I know who I am, and I feel I'm capable of making my own decisions now, and I know that if I screw up, I know there's people that I can turn to. Like, for kids that were my age, that were 10, 11, 12, whatever, you might be around a lot of using people. That doesn't really mean that you have to use, though. You have that choice, and, you know, you can go to, you know, parks and just have fun with your friends and do whatever you like to do, or you can go shopping or anything like that, you know, and have a good time just doing that and getting high off of life instead of having to, you know, get high off of drugs and wondering what you actually did the night before. And, you know, when you're high on life, you can remember the things that you did with your friends. And I think that, you know, remembering something that you did with your friends, I think that's great.
I think she used drugs because she couldn't really make up her mind what to do, so she just went to something that she thought would help her, and she didn't know all the bad things about drugs.
I think she was taking drugs because her family was splitting up right in front of her eyes.
She had to choose which one to go to. You know, she loved them both, and she didn't want to hurt their feelings.
Any kid would be in a wreck if their parents got divorced. And she was just confused on life and didn't know where to turn. And so when her friends introduced drugs, she thought they would reduce her problems.
She could have been hanging around the wrong friends,
hanging around a bad crowd. She wasn't involved in any activities, so she was exposed to the street a lot. And if she was out there a lot, it would be kind of hard not to get involved with something like drugs.
I think she took drugs because, you know, she was curious on what the effects were and how they felt on you.
She was at such a young age that she's like, what should I do?
She could have talked to her parents before she even took the drugs and told them about what she was feeling about.
I think Tibet learned that there's better things in life.
I think she learned to be more responsible.
I think she learned that it was really easy to end up with the wrong people.
And if you didn't take drugs, it would make a real difference in your life.
Drugs can hurt you, so a woman, a man, keep your money in your pocket, not drugs in your hand. Stay in school, don't get hooked on drugs. Make your education, don't be a bum or a thug. Drugs can make you do things or act funny. Steal from your mother or take the bill money. So go to college and get your diploma. Wake up in the morning and smell the aroma. Don't do drugs right from the start. Think about your mother. Are you breaking her heart, heart, heart? Don't be bad and don't be the boss. Listen to me, kids. My name is Tronny Cross.
I don't see how anyone can really enjoy taking drugs when they could be doing something fun or constructive. I try to keep myself busy with various activities. One of my favorite hobbies is playing the violin. Whenever I am bored or upset, I just take out my violin and play my heart out. It truly makes me happy and brings joy to my heart. I think that everybody should have a hobby to stay away from drugs.
Once upon a time, not long ago, there was a person named, well, you know, was in the 5th grade, had a whole bunch of friends. This is where our problem begins.
Oh, he was invited to the party on a Saturday night. His dad said that was cool. Everything was cool, right? Got to the party, all his friends were looking funny, because they were doing drugs and fighting over money. The best friend walked over and said, you want a hit? He grabbed the pot, said no, and crushed it.
The moral of the story, you can say no, you don't have to say yes, you don't have to bluff.
Milwaukee,
all you gotta do is hang tough.
What can happen to a person who uses drugs and alcohol?
A lot of bad things can happen if you use drugs and alcohol. You can get really sick.
And like you try it and it's like, whoa.
When you wake up the next day, you don't know where you are. You don't know where you were.
If they get drunk or something and they try to drive, they can get into a car crash and kill themselves.
It can make you go crazy. It can eat away at the white matter of your brain.
You can abuse your kids. You could lose your job. You could get bad grades in school.
You feel high for a minute, and then you go down lower than when you started.
If you use drugs, you'll get addicted to it, and you'll keep on using it.
You do anything to get more and more. You do crazy things, kill, steal.
People who use drugs sometimes turn into dealers.
Now, some kids might do that because they might not have a lot of money and they might need it. And so if they're in the middle of delivering it, they might get caught in a crossfire between shooting over drugs and die for no reason.
They start doing stuff that they wouldn't normally do, and they're not themselves anymore.
Next, we're going to learn about a kid who got into a lot of trouble because of alcohol abuse. His name is Jose, and he lives at Carmelite Home for Boys. He also goes to school at Wauwatosa East High School. Jose is 16 years old.
I first started using alcohol at the age of around 12, where in the neighborhood peer pressure was pretty strong on me. And many kids in the neighborhood, older kids around 16 or 17, they were asked me to say, hey, come on, let's try this. And as a younger kid thinking, hey, since they're doing it, why shouldn't I? At the age of 13, I got a job working in a tavern. My job was basically cleaning up and running errands, like getting quarters for the machines and whatnot. And usually every single day after school, I'd go to the tavern and do what I had to do. And it also became my hangout, because I always wanted to be with the older crowd and just like the older crowd. And the older crowd was just people that drank alcohol. And that's what I wanted to do, just like them, be drinking alcohol. After a while, like mornings of getting up with headaches and getting sick at night and going through different problems and the anger and depression from it, finally think that, hey, it's not you. My family, when I was drinking, wasn't really together as a family. At least not with me, because when I was drinking, I'd be gone maybe 2, 3, 4 days. And I might come back and eat or just sleep for the night and be gone all day the next day. I didn't want to listen to my mom telling me to stay away from the tavern and to stop drinking. I wanted to go to the streets with my friends. I knew I wasn't myself, but the alcohol took over me. I stopped going to school, or I'd stop going to classes, but I'd be around the school causing trouble and getting into gang violence. So I took a gun from the tavern where I was working to Bayview High School, and I was caught with the gun, and the police were called. They really wanted to send me away to Wales or Lincoln Hills, which is like prisons for young juveniles. But they gave me one more chance and sent me to Carmelite Home for Boys. Now that I'm 16 and I look back at how it used to be, I thought of different ways of how I could have caught myself before the police did. And I think if I would have been more involved with school activities and been a little bit closer to my family, I would have realized that, you know, that's what I needed then, rather than alcohol. Now, if I have any problems, I'll talk to my sister, or I'll talk a lot closer with my mom. And even if I don't feel that they know exactly what I'm talking about, at least I know that I'm getting a lot of it off my chest. When I started school again, I started wrestling and I started eating right and had great workouts and started feeling real good about myself. My school environment has changed a lot within the past year, from grade point averages of 0 point up to 3.85. I've also learned different things such as how to work better on computers and work different programs on computers. I've even helped out teachers on teaching their classes on how to use different computers and different computer programs. I still see a lot of my old friends on the street, and up to one point they'd say, hey, you know, let's go do this or that, you know, let's go have a drink, or let's go, you know, roll on somebody. And I'd look at them crazy and then tell them how I am now. And they respect me for that now. And they see me a lot differently, and they know that I'm trying to change.
Jose's alcohol problem started when he was working in a bar, and when he was working there, he was exposed a lot to older kids who drank.
He used to see all them people drinking, bigger guys than him, so he thought that was cool, so he didn't join them.
What happened to Jose was a lot of peer pressure.
And he started, like, not doing too many things with his family.
Jose kept pulling farther and farther away from his family. He would not listen to his mother, and he dropped out of school.
I think he finally realized, you know, what is alcohol doing for me? So that's probably when he turned around.
I think Jose learned that drinking alcohol can change you, because all the bad things he did, like stealing the gun and getting into gang violence, it really wasn't him, it was like a different person. He should have hanged around different people who weren't into alcohol and participated in different activities. Like today he's doing wrestling and he feels real good about it. So if he always stayed with sports, he wouldn't have needed drugs.
His friends that were doing alcohol still, they respected him for being what he really was.
He didn't get courage by beating up people. He got courage by being himself.
All the men running around in the Benz Mercedes. I think they're so bad 'cause they get all the ladies. It sounds great, right? You think this is good? Get one of these fellas in your neighborhood. You'll hear guns every day and get on your knees and pray for God to let you see the very next day. This man is causing lots of trouble. He could cause your death. People getting shot and you could be next. Stay away from him. Just try to give love. Listen to the words I say, Milwaukee. Hang tough.
so much to do. Why do drugs?
How can you keep drugs and alcohol out of your life?
Someone who has been successful in keeping away from drugs is Ashanti Hamilton. Although there was drug use all around him, Ashanti was able to hang tough against it. Ashanti is 17 years old, and here is his story.
My mother had always had a hard time paying the bills and paying the rent every month. I didn't realize that it was because she was using money for drugs or anything at the time, but that was the reason we had to move back with my grandparents. My mother is not the only person that I knew that did drugs. It was a host of people, a host of friends, family, a lot of people, and I mean, it's kind of weird when your mother's doing it, your best friend's selling it, your cousin's selling it. You know, it's all around you, and then when your cousin gets shot and dies, and your best friend goes to jail, I mean, you do have to decide for yourself, you know, what you want. But that wasn't for me. There was a time when I was offered to sell drugs with my best friend, and I didn't know how to react at first. I knew it was wrong, and I knew I didn't want to do it. I never felt the need to do drugs. I never had that curiosity. You know, I've seen it all my life. I've seen what drugs have done to people. I've seen what it does to lives. I've felt what it's done to my own life, and I see where it's leading other lives. Well, drugs in my family nearly diminished the word family in my life totally. I did have an aunt named Laquita who was an inspiration to me, you know, who guided me, who I looked up to. You know, the fact that she had made it and that she's making it, you know, was that much, you know, it was everything to me, you know. Proved to me that, you know, it's not impossible. And that's all you really need to know, is that it's not impossible. I could have been a drug dealer or a drug user. You know, I could have had my life on the line, you know, every day. I mean, a lot of people may say, you know, well, you know, most likely you would have went that way. It wasn't most likely to me. You know, that wasn't one of my options. It wasn't. There was no way I could have went that way. I made a decision based on what I wanted. I didn't want jail. I didn't want death. But I did want success. I did want to fulfill my dreams. I go to school at Riverside University High School. I'm the captain of the football team. I went all conference this year, my senior year, even though we didn't win a game. I'm also the captain of the track team. I'm the president of the varsity club at our school. There's no way you can compare smoking a joint or having a drink or smoking crack to the feeling you get when you score a touchdown or finish running a race in track, or, you know, just being with your friends, having a good time. You know, it's your choice. No one's gonna shove it up your nose or throw it down your throat. You know, it's you keep it out of your life. A lot of things may be unfair. You may have to make a lot of unfair decisions. You may have to live under some unfair conditions. It may be unfair, but hey, you gotta hang in there, you know. You gotta hang tough, you know, and be strong, because it's possible to make it.
I think Ashanti wasn't involved with drugs because he was a real cool dude.
Ashanti made a decision, and that decision was to keep drugs out of his life.
He always wanted to stay in school and get good grades and just have a successful life.
I think Ashanti kept drugs out of his life by choosing the right friends and not choosing ones that were dealing drugs and using them.
He knew how drugs affected his mother and, you know, friends, and he didn't want to end up, you know, being dead or going to jail. He wanted to make something of his life.
Ashanti kept drugs out of his life by
of staying in school, being in the football team, in the track meet.
He knew that he could have much more fun without drugs.
He had enough respect for himself that he was going to say, I'm cool because I don't take drugs.
And he also recognized the conditions of what drugs can do to you, so when he was offered, he just refused.
If someone would ask me if I wanted to take drugs, I'd say no thanks. And if they said, what are you, chicken? I said, yep, I sure am chicken.
You know, I would tell them, you know, no, I don't need drugs. You know, I already have a good life. I don't want to mess up my life.
You know, it's my choice. It's my own choice. I would say, I don't want any drugs, so take your problems elsewhere and leave me alone. Walk away. Change the subject. Just don't take the drugs.
Because if they try to make you do something that you don't want to do, then they're not really your friends.
They have to hang around the right people and get involved in activities.
If you think that drugs will solve your problems, you're wrong. They don't solve problems.
Also, you should get involved in activities that you like to do and something constructive where you can't be near people who use drugs.
Instead of doing drugs, I love to play football and baseball and spend time with my family.
I could go running, go swimming, ride my bike,
dance.
You can go to the Boys or Girls Club, do science projects.
Go to my piano lessons, do homework.
I play soccer and I play piano.
I play the trombone. Swimming and playing basketball with my friends.
I listen to music and write lots of stories.
Play my violin, doing karate, and dancing.
I also think you should choose your friends very wisely.
You don't need drugs, and I don't need drugs.
I don't need drugs. I don't use drugs.
I don't take drugs.
Stay away from drugs.
Don't take drugs. Walk away. Change the subject. Just don't take the drugs.
That's the end of our show for now. But the Hang Tough campaign is just beginning. Yeah, we're gonna have lots of messages on TV all year long, and lots of other stuff too. And we want everybody to keep working together to solve this problem. Yeah, kids, parents, teachers, friends, and everybody. It's gonna be great.
Drugs are a very big problem. We've been trying and trying to solve it. But it's hard and it's gonna get harder. We need to use our brains this morning.
So that we can end the situation. Then we can give all the cops a vacation. It's simple and plain.
I know your heart's enough.
Say no to drugs and walk in.
Hang tough. Hang tough. Oh, hang tough. Hang tough. Hang tough. Oh, hang tough.
It's about kids.
For kids. And it's black kids.
We want to join together because we want to make a difference.
We're telling you to hang tough against all drugs, man, and other stuff. Hang tough against drugs. Be the best you can be.
Watch, listen, learn, and join the party. We have to work together. Yes, you and me. Starting right now. Hang tough, Milwaukee. Hang tough.
Hang tough. Oh, hang tough. Hang tough. Hang tough. Oh, hang tough.
You gotta make a choice.
It's your decision. I'm hanging tough.
And I'm wishing.
Now we can work together. Yes, you and me.
Starting right now. Hang tough, Milwaukee. Hang tough.
Hang
All you gotta do is do it like we said. Do the right thing.
Hang tough. Hang tough. You never know what all I gotta say is hang tough. Hang tough. Oh, hang tough. Hang tough. Hang tough. Oh, hang tough. Hang tough.
I'm so glad we could all get together. And remember, kids, hang tough.